Okay, I'm going to do a little video showing kind of quickly how to sew the fabric masks, as I've had a lot of people asking how to go about doing it. In the description I'll put a link to the free pattern for how to do this. You just print the pattern out and use it. I've then traced it on a piece of paper just so that I don't have to do it, and it has several different sizes. This is actually my pattern. I've just cut it out, going to smaller and smaller. So this is just a cotton woven. It's the same fabric you would use for like a quilt. It has no stretch to it. So you just need that. You put your piece on there. You can pin it. You can use scissors. I use a rotary cutter just because I am cutting so many of these out. It saves me a lot of time. Usually I'll have a few layers of fabric so that I can cut out 2 or 3 at a time. The fabric is folded over, so I'm cutting out both layers. You want it either right sides together or wrong sides together so that you're getting a mirror image. I need to change my blades. It's getting a little dull. Okay, so now you have 2. They're facing opposite directions. Make sure that you can see that. Yeah, so there's that. So that's your outside layer. And then you do your inside layer as well. I've been using cotton woven, and then I've been using a flannel for the inside, but you can do 2 layers of the cotton woven. You do want them, if you can, to use 2 different prints. That way you can tell which side is your inside and which side is your outside, because you don't want to be mixing that up. Okay, I'm going to pause this, and I've already got this cut out, so we'll continue from there. Okay, so this is kind of tricky trying to get a good camera angle here. So now what you're doing is you take your fabric, you lay them right sides together. So the print that you want on the outside, put it on the inside. Now you can see you've got your top, your bottom. This is the sides by your ears, and this is the front. You're just going to be doing a straight stitch along there, do a lock stitch, lock stitch. Okay, so you've got that all done. I have done the same with my inside. I've already done that part. So those are all together. Now you'll take these 2 pieces, make sure you have your tops together, your bottoms together. Make sure you can see what I'm doing. You line up your seams. I usually open them up just so it lays better and you don't have that bulky part. Do the same with the bottom middle seam. I don't know how well you can see this. Okay. The bottom seam. Then in the instructions, on the pattern piece, it tells you how long you need your elastic. Okay, so for the size I'm doing, it's 7.5. So I already cut those out. So you will then put it in. You need to allow for your seam allowance. Okay, so you don't want that to get sewn in on the side, so just have it on the end. Sometimes it doesn't like to behave. And you can use a pin. I like to use the clips for the elastic part, but you don't have to. If you don't have them, just use your pins. That works just fine too. Make sure it's not twisted, otherwise that will be uncomfortable. Do the same to the other side. Again, make sure it's not twisted. Leave room for your side seam. And clip that. Okay, now we can sew it together. So you can see you've got your, let's see if I can show you. This is the top, so the part that goes on your nose. This is the part that goes right under your chin. So I start at the bottom on one of the sides. I start right before the middle seam on the chin. The bottom, you just do a straight stitch all the way around. Make sure you're not getting the elastic in here. Otherwise you have to take out your seam. Oh, that was a little crooked because I wasn't paying attention. Okay, hold that so it doesn't move. I see my elastic's right there. I don't want to get that in, otherwise I'll have to take the seam out. And then that's a big pain. It makes it take more time. Now you need to leave room for turning. So you can see I started here. I just go a little bit around the corner. And that's it. You got to leave that room. Okay, now I trim all the four corners. Make sure you don't get too close to that seam. And then I also trim this nose, the part that's your nose. You want to trim that too, otherwise it's too bulky because we're going to put a wire there to get the mask to fit better. Now you can turn it right side out. I really hope you guys can see what I'm doing here. I can't really see the screen on my phone very well. Okay, so turn it right side out. You can pull the elastics and that gets that corner, corner, and the nose part. Oh, see, look, it's looking like a mask. Alright, now I'm going to start on, so we've got the bottom, the top. I always start doing my top stitching on the right side ear. Okay. Now, for the nose wire, there are a lot of different things that you can use. I've seen people using twist ties. I've seen people using pipe cleaners. I use a paper clip. These are Coda paper clips. I bought them right before we kind of went into lockdown. So I got them like 3 weeks ago. I just got them at Dollarama. They're I don't think you can see, but they're kind of plastic coated. I even had some that were colorful that I used as well, so then they won't rust. I bent the ends so that there's not the stabby bits going outside. Okay. That one I need a little flatter. Just kind of unbent the middle, kept the ends bent, kind of flattened it. Now you can put it in through that turning hole. And put it all the way up against the seam. And I just dropped it. There it is. Put it all the way up against that seam. The top of the nose. There, so I have it. It's right here. You push it all the way up. Now, you want to be careful. You don't want to sew over that. That'll break your needle. I have broke about 3 needles so far in all of the tons of masks I've sewn. So you can see how close I'm sewing to the edge when I get the paper. Yeah, let's see. I'll put a pin so you can see. This paper clip goes from here to here. So when I get to that, I'm going to go a little around it to give it more room so I'm not so close. And it is kind of tricky to go around it just because your presser foot is pushing down. But I don't want to sew over the needle because I don't need more ways to break my needles. There, see, so I'm going a little bit further around it. If you have a larger tunnel, you can always go back and do a little stitch just so that wire doesn't migrate. There. So we've got the wires all in there. If you don't have elastics, you can always use ties. I've seen people use strips of knit fabric. I've seen people use strips of socks or tights or all different things. Even strips of the woven fabric that you just tie in the back. I have a bunch of elastic though, so. And then this is where our turning is, so make sure that's all lined up. Stitch. And there we go. We have a mask. There. Let's see. There. Now we have a mask. Ta-da. And it has the little nose wire. And it's in there pretty good. I could do a stitch right there, but I see how it goes all skinny right here. So it won't be able to migrate through there. But there we go. There's our nice little fabric masks. And since we don't all have the same size heads, if this is too big, you can always do a little tack stitch with thread and needle, make that a little bit smaller. Or you could tie a knot, but that's not as comfortable. Just tack stitch works really well. Alright, so that's it. Any questions, feel free to ask.